The wreckage smoldered on the cliffs outside Monte Carlo. The private jet Ridge Forrester had chartered to fly Steffy to Fashion Week never made it to its runway showcase. Instead, it spiraled into a nightmare of fire, twisted metal, and panic. And though the Forrester heiress miraculously survived, something inside her did not. When Steffy opened her eyes, lying in a French hospital bed, battered and bruised, surrounded by a flurry of nurses and unfamiliar doctors, her first words were, "Where's Liam?" Not, "Where's Finn?" Not, "Where are my children?" Her heart and mind were anchored 6 months in the past, back to a time when her world was different, before she'd married John Finn Finnegan, before they'd fought for their love. Before the waves of betrayal, redemption, and violence reshaped everything. She was lost in time. She was Liam's again. At least, in her mind. Her memory had vanished, wiped clean from the past 6 months. Finn, the husband who sat day and night at her side, praying for her to wake, was now a stranger in her eyes. She looked at him with confusion, politeness, even curiosity, but no recognition. When he held her hand, she didn't squeeze back. When he said, "I love you," she blinked. And when he whispered, "We're married," she pulled away. For Liam, the timing was as cruel as it was intoxicating. He never stopped loving Steffy. Not truly, though he stood by hope, though he promised to move forward. Part of his heart had always remained tangled in Steffy's fire. Her laughter, her edge, her history, and now fate had rewritten the rules. Steffy remembered being in love with him. She wanted to be with him. She believed they were still together. And in that fragile belief, Liam saw a possibility. He visited her, tentatively at first. He told himself he was there as a friend. For comfort, for clarity. But when Steffy's eyes lit up at the sight of him, when she reached for his hand and whispered, "I knew you'd come," Liam's resolve cracked. For the first time in years, Steffy needed him, wanted him, and unlike before, there was no Finn standing between them, at least not in Steffy's mind. But Finn was still very much there, very much fighting. He wasn't just going to walk away, not after all they'd endured, not after forgiving her for the night with Liam, not after reclaiming their family from the chaos that followed Sheila's rampage. He had almost lost her once. He would not lose her now. Not to Liam. Not to memory. Not to a lie. So he stayed. Every morning. Every night. He brought photos of their wedding. Videos of Hayes playing. Memories he hoped would bridge the gap. But no matter how hard he tried, Steffy remained locked in a different version of reality. A version where Finn was the doctor from the beach. A kind man, but not her man. Hope watched from the sidelines, her hands shaking, her teeth clenched. The woman who had fought so long and so hard to have a family with Liam was once again being pushed out by the magnetic pull of Steffy. History was repeating. And this time, it wasn't Steffy doing the seducing, it was fate itself. Hope confronted Liam. "You have a family with me," she snapped. "You have Beth. Are you seriously going to throw that away again because Steffy forgot who she married?" But Liam didn't have an answer. Not one that made sense. Because the truth was, when Steffy looked at him the way she did, when she smiled and called him my love, he felt whole. He felt needed. He felt like maybe, just maybe, this was the universe giving them a second chance to fix everything they broke. Finn, pushed to the edge, called in the best neurologists in Europe. He pleaded with Ridge, with Taylor, with anyone who would listen. Steffy's memory would come back. She would remember. And when she did, this fantasy with Liam would fall apart. But Ridge, torn between loyalty to his daughter and love for both men she was caught between, refused to pick sides. Meanwhile, Thomas returned from Paris, furious. "What the hell is Liam doing?" He exploded to Ridge. "She's married to Finn. You think she'd want this if she remembered? You think she'd want to be manipulated, again? But Ridge saw the pain in Liam's eyes and hesitated. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a stake. But only Steffi had the power to choose. And right now, she was choosing Liam. The media got wind of it. Fashion princess loses memory. Returns to X. The headlines screamed betrayal. Paparazzi swarmed the hospital. Steffi, still fragile, didn't understand the chaos. Why is everyone acting like I've done something wrong? She asked Liam one night, curled up beside him on the hospital couch. You and I were together. We always were. And Liam couldn't bring himself to correct her. But Finn could. He walked in that night and saw them holding hands. His voice broke when he said her name. Steffi, please. I'm your husband. She looked at him with pity. I'm sorry, she whispered. I wish I remembered. But I don't. And right now, Liam feels like home. The words stabbed deeper than any wound he'd received on an ER floor. Finn turned and walked out, broken. Hope confronted Steffi in private. You always take him, she hissed. Even now, when you don't remember your own husband, you're still pulling him in. Steffi was confused. Hurt. But not apologetic. I didn't ask for this, she said. I didn't plan this. Hope's eyes filled with tears. No, you didn't. But it's happening anyway. Brooke urged Hope to hold her ground. Taylor tried to keep the peace. Donna and Katie watched nervously. Eric warned Ridge that this triangle would destroy more than just hearts. It could fracture the entire family again. But none of them could stop what came next. Steffi, discharged from the hospital, returned to Los Angeles with Liam. Finn refused to let it go. He filed a legal request for spousal reinstatement in family court, hoping a judge would validate their marriage despite her amnesia. He wanted to prove that their union was real, binding, that her memory didn't erase their vows. But Liam, emboldened by Steffi's affection, countered. He petitioned for custody talks, arguing that her condition made her vulnerable and that she deserved to make her own choices, especially if she no longer felt safe with Finn. The courtroom battle ignited tensions across every family branch. Lines were drawn. Sides were chosen. Steffi, caught in the middle, leaned on Liam for support. Even as flashes of memory began creeping in, she saw the beach where Finn proposed. She smelled the roses from their wedding. She dreamed of Hayes crying and Finn singing to him. The truth was knocking, but she wasn't ready to open the door. Not yet. Then came the moment of reckoning. At the Cliff House, alone with Liam, Steffi finally asked, "Why did we split up? Why did we stop being us?" Liam hesitated. He couldn't lie. "Because I hurt you," he said softly. "Because I betrayed you. You left me. You chose Finn." Steffi's face froze. I chose Finn?" He nodded. "You loved him. You love him." And the dam broke. Memories crashed through her mind like a flood, her wedding, her vows, the night Finn came back from the dead. The moment she held Hayes for the first time, the battles, the forgiveness, the healing. It all returned. She gasped. She fell to the ground. Oh my God. What have I done? Liam moved toward her. Steffi, but she pulled away. I remembered, she said, her voice barely a whisper. All of it. I remember everything. And she ran. Straight to Finn. She found him at the hospital, exhausted. Slumped on a bench. She dropped to her knees in front of him. I'm sorry, she cried. I didn't know. I didn't remember. But I do now. And I love you. I've always loved you. Finn pulled her into his arms, weeping. They stayed like that for hours. The fallout was swift. Liam, devastated, retreated. Hope, wary, offered him another chance, but with conditions. You need to stop chasing the past, she said. Because I'm not going to be your second choice again. Steffi and Finn took time off. Ridge announced she'd be stepping back from Forrester for medical leave, giving Jacqueline McInnes would her real-life maternity break. The official story was that Steffy needed space, healing, quiet. But the truth? She was leaving to protect the life she'd nearly lost. To guard it fiercely. To hold Finn and Hayes and Kelly close and rebuild the home her memory had momentarily erased. And as the plane lifted off from LAX, bound for an undisclosed location, Steffy looked out the window and whispered to herself, "I found my way back. In the bold and the beautiful. Love never dies, it gets lost, twisted, tested. But when it returns, it roars." And this time, Steffy chose her future over her past. And nothing would tear that apart again. The bold and the beautiful. A new storm brews as Steffy leaves town. As Steffy's plane disappears into the clouds, the chaos she leaves behind on the ground doesn't disappear, it intensifies. Her departure marks the end of one chapter, but triggers the beginning of another, more volatile one. With Steffy gone and her memory restored, Los Angeles becomes a battleground of jealousy, resentment, and raw ambition. Liam returns to the cabin alone. The house that once echoed with memories of Steffy and Beth now feels like a mausoleum. He replays every moment, every smile Steffy gave him during her amnesia. For a brief, fleeting window, they were together again. He could feel it, touch it, live it, and now it's gone. Again. Hope watches him, torn between anger and pity. She wants to scream at him for allowing himself to fall back into Steffy's orbit so easily, but deep down, she understands. Liam is addicted to chasing what he's lost. But she's no longer willing to be collateral damage in that cycle. She sets a boundary, clear and firm. "If you want a life with me," she tells him, "then it starts now." No more Steffy. No more back and forth. No more unfinished business. Liam promises he's done. That Steffy is in the past now. But his eyes betray him, and hope isn't blind. Meanwhile, Finn is a changed man. After nearly losing his wife twice, he vows not to take anything for granted again. He pushes harder at the hospital, working long shifts, demanding excellence. But behind the professionalism is an undercurrent of anxiety. He checks in on Steffy constantly. They talk every night, but he knows that healing takes time. And even though she remembers their love, trauma lingers. But peace is short-lived. While Finn devotes himself to his work and family, trouble begins brewing in the background. Sheila Carter, watching from the shadows, grows restless. Steffy may have accepted her again after the gunshot incident, but the old wounds aren't healed. And now that Steffy is gone, Sheila sees an opening, one she intends to exploit. Sheila begins inserting herself into Finn's life more aggressively. She shows up at the hospital. She visits the Cliff house uninvited. She drops off gifts for Hayes. Finn, cautious but grateful for what she did, allows her to linger longer than he should. Ridge and Taylor warn him. "She's manipulating you," Taylor snaps. This is exactly what she wants. But Finn resists. She saved Steffy's life. She's trying. Trying, yes, but not for the right reasons. Sheila sees Steffy's absence as a second chance. A do-over. And, just like Luna before her, Sheila begins crafting a fantasy, a life where she, Finn, and Hayes are a family, without Steffy in the way. But Sheila isn't alone in her scheming. Luna Nozawa, released on house arrest after Sheila refused to testify against her in court, is back and more determined than ever to reclaim the life she believes Steffy stole from her. Publicly, she plays the role of the repentant woman. She attends therapy. She makes donations. She even gives interviews about mental health and recovery. But privately, she blames Steffy for everything. Her arrest, her downfall, her isolation. And she blames Finn for rejecting her. So when Luna learns that Steffy has left town, she doesn't hesitate. She shows up at Finn's office, seemingly to apologize. Finn, ever the healer, agrees to talk. But Luna's charm is laced with venom. She begins visiting more frequently, bringing coffee, remembering details about his life, finding excuses to be around. Finn sees the signs, but assumes she's just lonely. Hope, meanwhile, becomes increasingly suspicious. She sees Luna for what she is, a threat in sheep's clothing. And while her own relationship with Finn is complicated, she's not about to let another woman slither into Steffy's life while she's gone. Hope confronts Luna in public outside the hospital. "Stay away from him," she warns. Luna smiles sweetly. "Why? Are you jealous?" Hope narrows her eyes. "Not for me. For Steffy. And if you think you can worm your way back into Finn's life while she's away, you're even crazier than people say." Luna doesn't respond, but her silence is telling. Back in Paris, Steffy finds herself struggling with solitude. The peace she craved now feels empty. The nights are quiet, too quiet. She misses Finn. She misses her children. And though she knows she needed the break, doubts creep in. Is Finn safe? Is Luna still circling? Is Sheila still manipulating? Her instincts flare up. She decides it's time to go home. But the return won't be easy. She calls Ridge and asks him not to tell anyone she's coming back. She wants to arrive unannounced, to see things clearly, without warning anyone. And what she sees crushes her. She returns to the cliff house at sunset. Inside, she finds Sheila holding Hayes, with Finn nearby, unaware of her presence. It's innocent, but the image shakes her. Then, later, she spots Luna leaving the hospital, her hand brushing Finn's arm as they say goodbye. Steffy feels the betrayal twist in her chest. She left to heal. She trusted them. But the world didn't wait. And now her home feels foreign. Her place in it, uncertain. She confronts Finn that night. "I saw her," she says flatly. Finn is stunned. "Steffy, why didn't you tell me you were coming?" "To see the truth." He fumbles to explain. The hospital. The visits. Sheila dropping by. "It's not what it looks like," he says. "Luna's not. She's circling you like a vulture," Steffy interrupts. "And Sheila? Holding Hayes? You think I can just forget what she did?" Finn tries to defend himself. But Steffy isn't ready to forgive. Not this time. The war is reignited. Luna, realizing Steffy's return ruins everything, shifts tactics. She approaches Hope with a dangerous proposal. A temporary alliance. If we want them to stay apart, Luna says, we need to remind them why they should be. Hope refuses at first. But Liam's continued emotional distance wears her down. Eventually, she considers it. Not for revenge. For self-preservation. And as the days unfold, alliances shift. Loyalties are tested. And love, once again, becomes a battlefield. Because in the bold and the beautiful, memory fades, hearts break, but the war for love never ends. And Steffy, once a survivor of fire and memory loss, must now fight again, not just for her family, but for the truth. Because this time, she isn't forgetting. This time, she's watching. And she's ready.